So it turns out our first build for this season is a hunter build. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not a hunter main, but I do enjoy punching the hell out of things. And this build allows you to do so, but safely. Today, guys, we're going to be breaking out none other than Assassin's Cow, combined with the likes of 1-2 Punch, merged with the new Arc 3.0 subclass, with a combination of artifact mods. Fellas, I present to you the Phantom Fister. Huh? Look, I know this name is a little borderline at best, but eventually you're going to come to love the Phantom Fister, as it grants you the ability to punch things safely. Some would even say gracefully, as if you were a phantom, just punching enemies left and right and going invis at the same time. Now, first we're going to start from the top, and that's with our subclass. Arc 3.0, guys, is currently in the game, and what I'm actually rocking is the Gathering Storm super ability. I really like this a lot, guys. It's kind of like Blade Barrage or even Silence and Squall. It does very decent damage, and by the way, you can check out our super damage DPS checks on all the Arc supers for this season. I like this because it's one and done. Now, we're also taking advantage of Gambler's Dodge, so that every time we dodge next to an enemy, we get our melee back. Jump really doesn't matter. I like to rock Blink because I'm crazy. Combination Blow is our Arc melee ability. This right here is what's going to contribute most to your melee damage. A quick strike that temporarily increases your melee damage when defeating a target, stacking up to 3 times. Also, when defeating a target with this ability, it also fully refills your class ability energy and restores a small amount of health. Now that's huge because getting melee kills with Combination Blow feeds into our dodge, and dodging next to enemies feeds into our melee ability with Gambler's Dodge. Now the grenade I'm taking advantage of is Arc Bolt Grenades because it has a fast cooldown, and we're going to go over why in just a moment. Aspects include flow state. Defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly and you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. Definitely comparable to things like Arc Battery. We also have Lethal Current. After dodging your next melee attack has increased lunge range. It also jolts the target and creates a damaging aftershock. Now the fragment combinations include Spark of Resistance, which actually gives us more resistance while surrounded by combatants. Now the next 3 artifacts I'm gonna throw in there, but they're not actually, or at least some of these are not actually unlocked, and hopefully they'll be unlocked after the raid. But I'm doing this because this is really what's gonna make this build complete. One is Spark of Feedback. Taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. Not really sure what the damage bonus is here, but obviously that should be very, very potent. We also have Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. You're gonna see why this is gonna be very easily achievable here soon. Now the last fragment is really just left up to you. You can rock Spark of Volts, which states that finishers make you amplified, which again dips into our aspect airflow states, which states that while we're amplified, our dodge recharges more quickly and we're more resilient while dodging. Now all of this is extremely potent when we combine it with Assassin's Cow. Now I know the go-to exotic many of us think of is Liar's Handshake, because Liar's Handshake gives us cross counter and allows our Arc melee ability to deal more damage. And it is really, really good. The problem is staying alive. And I've tried, guys. We were running these master mode catch crashes and I was getting wrecked with Liar's Handshake. Granted, I'm under leveled, but this is very much similar to like in-game content, Grandmasters, and I like builds that can work in-game, which is why Assassin's Cow is so good. Power melee final blows grant invisibility and restore a portion of health and shields. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increases the duration of the invisibility and the amount of health and shields restored. So again, leaning into those finishers a little bit, that can also grant you invisibility and of course make your guardian amplified. Every time we get a powered melee kill, we are constantly going invis, which immediately gets all these ads off of our back. All we have to do is get the melee kill, which takes us to none other than a 1-2 punch shotgun. Now there's a lot of different 1-2 punch shotguns. I actually have a Deicide that does Void, a Ragnahild, which is a kinetic shotgun with 1-2 punch, and you can even get an enhanced version of this, which is arguably the best as it requires not 12 pellets to land, but only 10, making it easier to proc 1-2 punch. This of course elevates our melee damage substantially, 200% across the board, 350% against bosses and vehicles, and again, all of this is amplified even more with every stack of Combination Blow. Guys, when you get up to Combination Blow times 3, you really don't need Liar's Handshake. Sure, that damage is nice, but this damage is still good enough, and it's keeping you alive every time you get a melee kill. Now, the mod combinations that we're using was actually a strange one, and I was not expecting this, starting with actually Melee Wellmaker. Power melee kills will spawn elemental wells matching our subclass energy. Now, interestingly enough, as you've noticed, there is a lot of arc charges that are occurring with every single punch. That's because Lethal Current allows us to jolt the target after dodging, and that's why why we want to dodge as much as often. That jolt over and over again is what's discharging that arc damage, and that arc damage is chaining into everything, which may not kill all the ads around us, but it does do a significant amount of damage to at least allow them to be easy cleanup. Throughout this process though, every melee kill is spawning us arc elemental wells, but surprisingly, every one of those crazy arc web kills occasionally will drop a solar well. For some strange reason, if you're rocking explosive well maker and you're getting those jolt kills, it will occasionally drop a solar well. And if you're combining this with things like Well of Life, every time you pick up one of those solar elemental wells, this of course increases regeneration for a short period of time. Now I'm also taking advantage of Well of Ions. Essentially picking up elemental wells causes your next melee to deal increased damage. Other artifact mods include things like Surge Detectors, which allows our arc grenades to stun overload champions, as well as Bad Amplitude, which states that damaging a champion with an arc ability causes the champion to become jolted, and that applies to anything. Now there are other artifact mods that I'm actually really excited about when combining with this build. Things like Trace Evidence. Defeating combatants affected by arc debuff spawns Ionic Traces. I'm actually curious to see how that's going to work with things like Jolt. Now another mod to use is of course Focusing Strike. This actually goes on your gauntlets, but essentially it grants class ability energy when you cause damage with your melee attack. Now you do not have to rock Explosive Well Maker and even Well of Life, because honestly the invisibility there from assassins is going to keep you alive. So you can rock mods like Striking Light, which gives you extra damage resist against combatants while sprinting. You can even combine it with things like Elemental Charge, which allows you to become charged with light every single time you pick up one of those arc wells. And you can even combine it with things like Reactive Pulse, which states that when you take damage while surrounded by combatants, you do emit a burst of damaging arc energy. So you're like doubling up on that arc damage. Simultaneously, you're granted an overshield when performing a finisher, and we've already gone over the benefits of using your finisher. My only other suggestion is you may want to rock Bountiful Wells, just so you can produce multiple wells when you do get a kill with your melee. Outside of that, guys, max resilience to stay alive even longer, and you're going to be able to take a lot of damage even up close towards your enemies. Now, the way this really works is when you run into a group of enemies, get some kills off on some trash ads first and build combination below before you ever deal with one of the thicker targets or even a champion. Now, upon getting combination ×3, you can then take on the bigger targets. When you take on those bigger targets, make sure you start off with the fresh melee, so make sure you dodge first, apply 1-2 punch, and then punch twice. If ads are rushing you, no problem. Jolt will apply, arc damage will disperse, killing them or at least wounding them enough. Proceed to dodge again, because by that time you should have your dodge back. Shoot another 1-2 punch shot off, and by that point you should have been able to kill that champion if they're not already dead or whatever high health target you're dealing with. This is literally the flow chart here, guys. Apply 1-2 punch, punch twice, dodge, rinse and repeat. And throughout this process, things will be dying, you will be going invisible, keeping you alive and allowing you to recover. And as you can see there from combination blow, it lasts so long. You do not have to rush to get to the next kill. Literally chill while you're invisible. And again, when killing a miner, your invisibility lasts for 6 seconds with Assassin Cow. Elites is 9 seconds. Mini boss is 12.5 seconds and boss is 13 seconds. But again, if you use a finisher, this lasts even longer. Miners is 10 seconds. Elites are 13 seconds. Mini bosses and bosses are also 13 seconds. Needless to say, guys, you have plenty of time in between each melee kill to just chill while you're invisible. And throughout this process, you could run around dealing massive damage, jolting everything, emitting arc damage, allowing for everything to be easy cleanup. So guys, that is our Phantom Fister build. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you're bold enough, you can try Liar's Handshake. And again, for a lot of content, Liar's Handshake is completely fine. But when you get up to Master and Grandmaster content, staying alive is very important. And Assassin's Cow allows you to do so. And if you get real accustomed to this build, you can rock things like Tractor Cannon, apply your own debuff, swap to your other shotgun, apply a 1-2 punch shot, and then go really crazy. Fellas, this is a fantastic solo build. I've used the same build before in the past, but it's even more potent now with Arc 3.0. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.